Good morning. To the chairs, Senator Lesser and Representative Scanlon, to the ranking and committee members of the Insurance and Real Estate Committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify before you today in support of House Bill 5255, an act concerning living donor, organ donor insurance discrimination. I will yield momentarily to Robin Gilmartin and Diane Mack so that they can share their stories or experiences with you. Robin and Diane made me aware of this issue as these caring, empathetic women have each donated a kidney so that others might live and have a higher quality of life. It never occurred to me that such an act of kindness could result in denied coverage or higher premiums after donating. This is also a personal issue for me. My mother died from renal failure, and acquiring a kidney could literally have saved her life. Let's put an end to any punitive insurance measures against donors. And at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Robin and Diane.
If you could just please state your name for the record and where you're from, that'd be great. Thank you.
My name is Robin Gilmartin, and I'm from West Hartford. I want to thank Representative Exum for her heartfelt support on this, and thank you to the committee members for allowing me to testify today. I support House Bill 5255. In 2017, I donated a kidney at Yale New Haven Hospital to someone I didn't know. I know her now. She's my kidney sister. My donation started an 18-person kidney chain, that is 9 organ donors donating to strangers, thereby guaranteeing loved ones with advanced kidney disease a life-saving organ. Since donating, I've become an advocate for the National Kidney Foundation. Living organ donors are desperately needed because cadaver organs are difficult to procure, and because there are 112,000 Americans, 1,250 in Connecticut, currently on the National Organ Transplant List. 83% are waiting for a kidney. Most of those waiting will either be removed from the list because they become too sick, or will be among the 22 Americans who die each day while waiting for an organ. Meanwhile, every 10 minutes, another American is added to the list. There are barriers to increasing living organ donation. One is the misconception that donating a kidney is risky and will impact the donor's health or life expectancy. Another barrier is that the donor will suffer negative consequences such as loss of wages or denial of insurance. There is no evidence that donating a kidney adversely affects health or life expectancy. There's actually some evidence that organ donors are healthier than non-donors. Donor candidates are carefully evaluated by lab tests and physical and psychological examinations to ensure that the candidate is healthy enough to donate and that he or she is making an informed decision. There has been no national, systematic, long-term data collection on the risks associated with living organ donation, but there are studies in process which indicate that overall risks are broadly considered to be low. While every surgery has some potential risk, donation neither reduces life expectancy nor prevents donors from living a normal life. Increased insurance premiums or denial of coverage are based on misconception, not evidence. We don't know how many individuals have experienced insurance discrimination as a result of donating an organ, or how many chose not to donate because of such barriers. There is no hard data, but there are personal accounts, some of which have been shared with the National Kidney Foundation. Here are 2 representative examples. Fellow in Ellisville, Missouri, he donated a kidney to his wife, and then after the donation, applied for $250,000 in life insurance. He was initially denied coverage. He threatened to sue, and subsequently the insurance company agreed to issue a policy with a $25,000 annual premium. I'll read the next one. She names names. Susie Lockhart from Thornton, Colorado. I worked for Health One, and the life insurance I got was through my employment. On the yearly questionnaire, they asked if I donated an organ, and I answered honestly. I then got a letter from Prudential canceling my life insurance. We should reduce barriers to living organ donation, including any form of insurance discrimination, to increase donation. It saves lives. Public policy should reflect the need and have the backs of every living organ donor by ensuring they are not penalized by any form of insurance discrimination. I want to thank the committee for hearing my testimony.
Good morning, committee members and friends here today. My name is Diane Mack. I live in West Hartford. I donated a kidney in 2015. I'm taking the opportunity this morning to read testimony submitted by April Capone, who lives in North Haven, Connecticut. She is the manager of Yale New Haven's living organ donor Center for Living Organ Donors. Thank you. In 2009, I was sitting at my desk at the East Haven mayor's office, where I was serving as the town's chief elected and executive official, when a message posted on the Facebook account of one of the nearly 30,000 constituents in my town came through. This man that I had met maybe 2 or 3 times prior was at that moment in the clinic of Yale New Haven transplant. He was learning that his kidneys were failing him and that finding a living donor was his best chance at survival. With that sobering news, he posted on Facebook, "I am in need of a living kidney donor. All of my friends and family have been tested and there is none available. If you are interested, please contact," and he gave the contact information. In that moment, I knew, like I knew my own name, that I was meant to be his donor. So on April 8th, 2010, I was wheeled into the OR at Yale New Haven, where my left kidney was removed and transplanted into my recipient. We are currently preparing to celebrate our 10-year transplant anniversary, and I feel so humbled and grateful to have shared the gift of good health with another person. The testing and evaluation to become a living donor is extensive and exhaustive. Donors must be physically, emotionally, and socially healthy. Many of us find that as we go through this process, if we are given negative feedback, it's from our close family and friends who are often scared and misinformed. One very concerning piece of feedback that I received was from a longtime close friend who, as a registered nurse, had also worked in the insurance industry. While she was afraid for my safety, she was speaking with knowledge and experience. She called me to say, "Honey, do not do this. You can be denied insurance coverage for the rest of your life. I've seen it happen." I took her words seriously, but the Affordable Care Act passed around the same time. I felt protected knowing that Obamacare was the law of the land and would never be overturned. As the political climate and landscape has changed over the last 10 years, I no longer feel that sense of safety. I would not change my decision to donate my kidney to someone in need, but I would also like to be protected going forward. In my role as manager of the Yale New Haven Transplant Center for Living Organ Donors, I am repeatedly asked the question about insurance coverage and the possibility of living organ donation being viewed as a pre-existing condition. I talk about how we as donors are protected by the ACA right now. It would be a great comfort to me and all living donors to advise them that the state of Connecticut takes their gift seriously and has taken additional steps to protect us as well. To that end, I urge you to vote yes on HB 5255, an act concerning living organ donor insurance discrimination. Not everyone can be a living organ donor, but everyone can help in some way. You have a tremendous power in front of you right now to help those in need of a living donor kidney or liver by protecting us and future living donors against discrimination. Thank you for your time, attention, and support. Sincerely, April Capone.
Thank you both, and thank you, Representative Exum. I think that I speak for everybody here when I say that we appreciate you coming and sharing those very powerful stories. Obviously, donating life is one of the greatest gifts that any of us can give to anybody, and nobody should bear the consequences of doing that from an insurance perspective, as far as I'm concerned. So we're looking forward to a hearing today on this. I want to open up to questions from the committee. Senator Lesser.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for both for your testimony. I know you're with Representative Exum, who has just been a real stalwart advocate on this issue, and I know will do the work that's necessary to fight for living donors in this state. I've also heard as well from Senator Slapp, who I believe represents you in West Hartford and has been a real advocate on this as well. It was important to hear that letter that you read from April Capone, a dear friend who has just an incredibly compelling story. And for all of us in elective office, I think she's a model for how you can serve your constituents by giving the greatest constituent service of all, which of course is the gift of life. And so she puts us all, I think, a little bit to shame. This is a really important issue. I was looking up, we were trying to figure out exactly how many people in Connecticut are awaiting organs right now, and it looks like it's about 1,214 are waiting for a transplant. So anything that could stand in the way of a donation is a problem. It's a policy problem for those of us in this building. I just had a sort of a question. This is not, I don't think we're the first state to consider legislation along these lines to prohibit discrimination against living donors, and I just wanted to know if you were aware of any other states that had done this.
Yes.
Yes, and I can't rattle them off off the top of my head, but I think there are maybe 10 or 12.
There's 11 that do have an act in place. I know it's actively being considered this year in Missouri.
Can y'all hear that?
No,
There are 11.
we can't. But maybe you could.
Sure. There are 11 states that currently have living donor protection acts, and then there are some additional states that have legislation in process now, and they are.
Missouri.
Sir, if you can just, we don't usually do this, but since you stood up already and you're there, we're going to let it go. But if you just gave your name for the record and.
Yes, my name is Armand Halter. I live in Ledyard, Connecticut. I'm an advocate for the National Kidney Foundation. I'm also a peer mentor, and I received my kidney 24 years ago. So I'm doing well. Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here and have a chance.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any further question? Representative Vail.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. Good morning. I'm reading through this legislation, and I see a lot of references to life insurance. Is this bill is this encompassing health and life insurance, or just life insurance, as those things are two very different kinds of insurance?
The draft legislation that Matt Hallisey submitted for us did mention medical insurance. The current bill, I haven't had a chance to read through it all, but I think multiple people have had some input into it. So yes, it would be our intent, our desire to have medical insurance included.
It wouldn't.
It would.
It would. Okay. All right.
And
But
disability.
so that
And
the intent
if-
from your perspective was to have both included.
Right, and disability as well.
Okay.
All forms of insurance. There are different versions out there among the 11 states that currently have living donor protection acts. The broader, the better.
And
in our
again,
mind.
that the problem is that those are two very different types of insurance with two very different types of underwriting criteria. Some based that's ongoing, life insurance more based on your health at the time that you buy the insurance. So those are two very different things. So that's where I just want to get some clarification on that. Thank you.
Sure.
Other questions from the committee? Senator Lesser.
Yes, this isn't a question, but just for, I think, clarification for Representative Vail, I believe that existing law already prohibits discrimination in health insurance underwriting. Those are the pre-existing condition protections that exist in the Affordable Care Act and that have also been codified in state law. Now, obviously, if there are exceptions, we can go back and clarify it, but that this bill, the proposed language before us, would cover life insurance, long-term care policies, and other ways that people, other insurance that people might cover that is not covered by that pre-existing condition language that's already in existence. And obviously, we'll work with whoever to look to see if there are health insurance issues that are yet to be covered. I hope that clarifies.
It does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Could I just add to that?
Just quickly, thank you.
Oh, sure. I think April's point, I think, is that if ACA were ever rescinded or repealed, or the pre-existing condition limitation was lifted, then it would be a problem going forward.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for being here this morning.
Thank you.